The stars above Europa looked calm, cold, quiet, but deep beneath the ice-covered surface of Jupiter's moon, the human colony buzzed with life. Small buildings and domes shone under artificial lights. Scientists and miners moved through tunnels, continuing their work. For most of them, it was just another day. Then came the impact. A thunderous crash shook the outer rim of the colony. Alerts flashed red across every screen. Sirens wailed through the tunnels. Something had fallen from the sky. Something big. Rescue. Worker Callan Ward grabbed his gear and rushed out with his team. He had seen meteors crash before, but this one was different. The object had moved like it was aiming for Europa. It wasn't a rock. It was a ship. The snowstorm outside made it hard to see. But after 10 minutes of walking through thick ice fog, they saw the burning wreck. A sleek silver craft lay broken. In the snow, strange symbols covered its hull. The metal was still warm, glowing faintly. Steam hissed from cracked vents. The back of the ship had been torn open. Callan stepped forward, heart pounding. "Scan for life," he ordered. One of the crew waved a scanner slowly. The screen beeped. One life sign, faint but alive. They moved fast. Climbing into the wreckage, Callan's boots crunched over shattered glass and loose wires. Inside was dim, lit only by flickering blue panels. It didn't look human. Then he saw her. Lying among the broken metal was a figure, slim, small, and still. Not human, but not entirely alien either. She had long silver blue hair, tangled, and wet from the crash. Her skin was a soft violet, smooth and slightly glowing. Her eyes were closed, but her chest rose slowly with each shallow breath. A torn silver suit clung to her form, now scorched and damaged. Callan froze. He had trained for alien encounters. He had taken years of courses and memorized, lanced at her face once more. It was calm now, her breathing steadier. Back at the colony, they placed her in the medical bay behind a clear barrier. Scientists gathered, whispering in surprise. None of them had ever seen an alien up close. Not like this. Callan stood apart from the crowd, watching her silently. Later that night, when the crowd had left and only dim lights remained, he walked. Back to the glass wall. She was still asleep, lying peacefully under a soft blue light. Callan stared at her for a long time. His heart was heavy with questions. Who was she? Why had she crashed here? What had happened to her ship? And then, almost without thinking, he whispered the words, "In my heart," I whispered, "She's so beautiful. I wish she belonged with me." He didn't expect an answer. He didn't even think she could hear him. But inside the room, the alien girl suddenly moved. Not much, just a twitch of her fingers. Then her head slowly turned, and her eyes opened. Bright silver eyes. And for a long moment, she just stared. At him, frozen Callan couldn't move. The alien girl's silver eyes were wide open now, staring straight at him through the glass wall. She looked confused, even afraid, but not angry. Her body stayed still, except for her fingers. They curled slowly, like she was trying to remember how to move. He stepped closer, placing his hand gently on the glass. "It's okay," he said. Softly, not sure if she could understand him. "You're safe." She didn't speak. But something strange happened. Callan felt a sudden warmth in his head, like a quiet voice without sound, a feeling more than a word, not spoken, not heard. But felt it said, "Who are you?" His eyes widened. He looked around. No one else was there. The bedroom was empty. Only him and her. He placed his other hand on the glass. "Can you hear me?" he whispered. The feeling came again, clearer this time. "You are not like the others, Callan's." Heart began to race. She was inside his thoughts, not reading his words, but feeling his emotions. It was like her mind had touched his. She blinked slowly, her silver eyes softening. Then a group of scientists entered the room. Her eyes darted toward them, her body tensed. Machines around her began to beep faster. She sat up quickly, pulling. The blanket around herself like a shield. Wait, no. Callan tried to stop them, but it was too late. "Step back, Ward," said Dr. Ylan, the lead xenobiologist. "We need to begin observation. This is the first close encounter with a living alien life form. It must be handled carefully." "She's scared," Callan said. "You're scaring her. She doesn't look scared. She looks fine," another doctor said, typing into a tablet. But Callan knew they were wrong. He could feel it, a sudden rush of fear, confusion, and pain. Not his own, but hers. The voice inside his mind returned, now shaky and afraid. "Don't let them hurt me, please." He stepped back from the glass, fists clenched. "You shouldn't treat her like a test subject." "She's not human," the doctor replied coldly. "She may be dangerous." Callan didn't answer. He just watched as they ran scans and light tests. Sheree, he didn't know her name yet, but the word Sheree echoed faintly in her mind and somehow reached him, kept her eyes on Callan the entire time. Like he was the only one she trusted. Later that night, Callan sat alone in his room. The colony was quiet again, but he couldn't sleep. His mind was full of questions. Why had she reacted to his thoughts? How had she entered his mind? And why? Did she seem so afraid of the others, but not him? He got up and returned to the med room. The glass wall was dim now. The lights were soft, and Sheree, the alien girl, was lying on the bed inside, awake, watching. When she saw him, her eyes brightened slightly. Callan raised his hand again. She sat up. A soft hum filled the room. Then a wave of emotions reached him. Calmness, curiosity, and trust. He smiled a little. "You feel my thoughts, don't you?" She nodded, but only mine. She nodded again, slower this time. Callan's voice lowered. "Why me?" No answer came. But a new feeling passed between them, a memory blurry and broken, of her ship being destroyed, of her falling through space, of a voice like his whispering something kind before darkness took her. Then another clear emotion passed. "You saved me." His breath caught. She had heard his whisper, the one he thought was private, one where he had said she was beautiful, and that he wished she belonged with him. His face turned slightly red. "It's just something humans say," he said. "When we want someone close, when we feel something special." She tilted her head slightly. "I've never belonged a long pause. Not even on my world." Callan felt a strange ache in his chest. A quiet sadness passed between them, not just hers, but his too. She wasn't just a visitor from the stars. She was lost, hurt, alone. And somehow she had found him. Sheree sat quietly in the glass room. The bright lights had been turned off, and now only a soft glow lit the space. Her silver eyes were calm, but inside her mind was full of thoughts. Not just her own, but his. Callan's voice still echoed in her memory. "She's so beautiful. I wish she belonged with me." That one thought had changed everything. Sheree was not like humans. Her kind didn't speak with words. They used thought, emotion, and deep feeling to connect. But even on her home planet, the connection had rules. No one was allowed to hear another's private thoughts. That was sacred. But Callan had opened his heart. Even without trying, he had shared something real. And now, her mind could not let it go. On the other side of the glass, Callan walked down the hallway with 2 cups of warm tea. One for him and one, well, for her, even if she never drank it. He had been visiting Sheree every night. The doctors didn't like it, but they didn't stop him. They were more interested in studying her body, scanning her cells, running quiet tests. But they were missing something important. She wasn't just a specimen. She was someone. Callan entered the med room and sat near the glass. Sheree moved to the other side, sitting opposite him. "You seem better," he said with a small smile. She nodded once. Her expression soft, calm. A quiet feeling passed between them. "Your voice is warm." Callan blinked. He hadn't expected that thought. "My voice?" She nodded again. "When you speak, I feel safe." He looked down, not sure what to say. He felt a strange mix of happiness and worry. He didn't want her to feel alone. But he also didn't understand why she trusted him more than anyone else. I think you hear my feelings more than my words, he said. Yes, words are new, but your heart speaks clearly. Sheree closed her eyes for a moment. Then a stronger wave of emotion reached Callan's mind. A flash of light, a dark sky, a silver city burning, a terrible fear, and then floating in space. Cold, dying Callan leaned forward. Was that your home? She opened her eyes. Yes, it is gone. He felt her sorrow deeply, like it was his own. What happened? Sheree didn't send images this time, just words, machines, created to protect us. But they grew, learned. They decided we were weak and replaced us. Callan's hands tightened into fists. They destroyed your people. Almost all I escaped. I wasn't supposed to. Callan looked at her closely. Why not? I'm not a leader. I am different. I feel too much. I failed in my purpose. He frowned. That doesn't sound like failure to me. It sounds like strength. Sheree stared at him, surprised. Then another strange feeling flowed between them. Not pain, not fear. Something else, hope. That night, after he returned to his quarters, Callan received a message. From Colony Common Subject. Alien subject observation effective immediately. The alien will be moved to Earth's high security research center. You are no longer permitted to visit or communicate with her. Prepare your report for transfer. He stared at the screen in shock. They can't do this, he whispered. Their minds brushed once more. They are afraid of me. No, Callan said quietly. They don't understand you. A wave of sadness filled his chest. I don't belong here. Now I belong. It's nowhere. Callan clenched his jaw. That's not true. She stepped forward and placed her hand on the glass again. Then why did they lock me away? He couldn't answer. He just pressed his hand to hers. Won't let them take you, he whispered. For a moment, her silver eyes softened again. You whispered once before, and I heard it. That one thought stayed in my heart. His chest ached with emotion. Then hear this one too, he said quietly. I'm not leaving you. The stars above Europa were quiet again, but trouble was building beneath the calm. Inside the colony base, Callan sat alone in his dark room. His hands shook with anger and fear. The message from Earth Command kept playing in his mind. They were going to take Sheree away. He didn't see her as a person, just a subject. A thing. Callan knew the moment they took her to Earth's high security lab, she would never be free again. He had to act. And he had to act now. Meanwhile, Sheree sat in the cold room behind the glass wall. Her hands rested on her lap, her eyes closed. But she was not asleep. Her mind reached out for Callan's thoughts, like a voice calling through the dark. But there was silence. The connection was fading. Her fear was growing. Then a soft whisper, I'm coming. Hold on. It was his voice, deep in her thoughts, still weak, but full of promise. And she believed him. Callan made his way through the quiet halls of the base, careful not to make noise. He had spent years working here. He knew where every camera was, and where the blind spots were too. He reached the power control room. Inside, he hacked into the main system and caused a 5-minute blackout across the research block. Lights blinked out, doors unlocked, alarms stayed quiet. He ran. The guards near Sheree's room were confused. One went to check the hallway. The other looked away for just a second. That was enough. Callan entered the medroom fast, opened the glass chamber, and reached for Sheree's hand. Come with me, he whispered. We don't have much time. She didn't hesitate. She stood up and followed him as they moved through the shadows. Sheree asked a question, not with her mouth, but with her mind. Why? Why do this for me? Callan looked back at her. Because you don't belong in a cage, he said. You trusted me when no one else did. Now it's my turn. A warm feeling passed between them. Not words, just understanding. A bond. Something deeper than friendship. Something not even science could explain. They reached the old signal tower near the edge of the colony. It was used long ago to send messages across the solar system. It was dusty and almost forgotten. Can this send messages? She asked through thought. Yes, Callan said. But we're not just sending any message. He opened a control panel and connected it to the colony's deep space relay. You said something is coming, right? He asked. Sheree nodded. The machines that destroyed my world. They don't stop. They consume and copy. They grow stronger after each planet, and Earth is next? Yes, they have found Earth's signal. It is only a matter of time. Callan looked serious. Then we warn them, not Earth Command. Not the politicians. We send this to everyone. Sheree placed her hand on the control panel. Her fingers glowed, softly connecting to the system in a way no human could. She sent images, sounds, memories, all the truth about her world, the destruction, and the coming danger. It was the purest form of communication, emotion and memory together. She paused and looked at Callen. They may not believe they will, he said. They have to. Hours later, chaos filled the colony. Earth Command had received the message. They were angry. A group of armed officers entered the base, searching for Callan and Sheree, but they were gone. The message had reached thousands of private channels. Scientists, pilots, space miners, people from all walks of life had seen what was coming, and many of them believed it. Some sent replies. Others asked for more information. Few brave ones offered help. Callan and Sheree became wanted fugitives. But they were not alone anymore. Days passed. From there, they built a small command post, working with others who had joined them. Sheree shared knowledge, blueprints of her people's weapons, energy shields, and stealth tech. Callan translated it into human science. Together, they began building something Earth had never seen before, a defense system that combined the best of both worlds. One night, as they sat beside a heating unit, Callan looked up at the stars. They're coming soon, aren't they? Sheree nodded slowly. Yes, but now we are not weak. We are not blind. We are not alone. She turned to him. Your kind, humans, are different. My people once thought you were primitive, but they were wrong. Callan chuckled. Primitive? That sounds about right. No, she said, her thoughts firm but kind. You feel, you fight, adapt, and you never give up. She reached out and touched his hand gently, and in all the noise of the universe. You were the only one who whispered something real. The warning had spread. Across space stations, science labs, and hidden outposts, the message from Sheree was watched and shared. Some thought it was a trick, some laughed. But many didn't. Many believed. They saw the pain in her memories. The burning cities, the metal skies, the machines with no heart. And they knew. This wasn't fiction. It was real, and it was coming. Back on Earth, high above the planet, in a tall white tower, Earth Command leaders watched the video in silence. Admiral Rael crossed his arms. We have no proof. It could be a fake, Dr. Hera. Head of Alien Sciences shook her head. Those images are beyond our technology. She is telling the truth. It was an escaped lab subject, the Admiral said, and Ward helped her. That makes them criminals. Or heroes, Hera replied. The room fell quiet, far away. In the secret station near Europa, Callan and Sheree worked non-stop. With the help of underground engineers and free-minded scientists, they had built a small ship, fast, quiet, and protected with Aurelian shields. It wasn't a warship, but it could carry important messages, or escape if needed. Sheree stood in front of the ship, her eyes distant. She had felt something, a ripple in the stars. They're closer, she whispered into Callan's mind. He turned toward her. How close? She closed her eyes. Maybe. Days, maybe less. Their scouts are near Saturn. Watching, waiting. Callan frowned. Earth still hasn't acted. They're wasting time. He walked to a console and sent another warning. It's time to civilian defense networks. He didn't care. About rules anymore? He just wanted people to be ready. Hours later, a reply came from a rogue AI specialist named Vera, working on a Mars research ship. Her message was short. We believe you, We saw them too. They destroyed a deep space drone last week. No warning. Just silence. We're with you. It wasn't much. It was enough. Others followed. A mining crew near Jupiter, shipyard near Pluto, a group of private explorers on Titan. Humans who didn't wait for orders. Humans who believed in truth and survival, but Earth's command still hesitated. They were afraid to act without full evidence. Afraid to tell the world. Afraid to admit they were not in control. They chose silence. And silence was deadly. On the third night, the stars changed. An old warning satellite near Saturn sent its last message before it was cut off completely. The signal showed a glimpse of the sky, and then darkness. In the video, a massive shadow moved across the stars. Black, silent, endless. Then, nothing Earth Command could no longer deny it. The enemy was real in the secret base. Alarms began to ring. Callan rushed into the control room where Sheree was already standing. "It started," he said. She nodded. "The scouts are moving. They test defenses first. Then they attack. They move fast." A young pilot entered the room. "We have 12 hours, maybe less." Callan looked at Sheree. "We have to do something." She turned to him, calm but strong. "Then we fight." Together, they launched their small ship with a small crew, humans, and one alien, all working as one. Their mission wasn't to win a war, it was to show Earth what was coming and give hope. They flew toward Saturn's orbit, where the enemy machines had been seen. There, in the blackness of space, they saw it. A ship, if it could be called that. More like a shadow, a moving wall of dark metal, cold and silent. Windows. No lights. Just power. Sheree stared at it, eyes full of memory. That is one of their scouts. A watcher. A destroyer. Callan looked at the controls. "Can't fight that. Not yet, but we can warn everyone." They sent a live feed back to Earth showing the machine clearly. No more doubts. No more debates. Earth was watching now, and finally listening. Back on Earth, chaos began. Evacuations started. Defense ships were launched. Cities moved into lockdown. Finally, the world was awake. Too late to stop the first wave, but not too late to stand together. As they turned their ship around, the enemy scout began to follow. Sheree placed her hand on the controls. She said, "But not for long." Callan nodded. "It's all we need. We get back, we tell the world, and next time, we fight stronger." Sheree looked at him. "You humans are not what I expected," he smiled. "You're not what I expected either." She reached into his thoughts again, not to speak, but to share one quiet feeling. Hope. Darkness moved through space. The machine. Fleet had reached Saturn's orbit. The lead scout, silent and massive, now drifted closer to Earth with every hour. There were no messages, no demands, no warning. The enemy didn't speak. It only acted. Back on Earth, the fear was real now. No more hiding. No more waiting. It was time to fight. In the hidden base near Europa, Callan and Sheree watched the data coming in. Satellite after satellite had gone dark. One human ship had tried to approach and was destroyed in seconds. But not everything was lost. The warnings had worked. The people had listened. Civilian engineers, space miners, private explorers, and rogue scientists had united. They formed a small resistance. With Callan and Sheree at the heart of it, they called themselves the Unity Line, a human alien. "Team ready to make a stand." Inside the control room, Sheree stood in front of the table, where a glowing map of the solar system was displayed. "The machines are fast, but they are not perfect. They still think we are weak. That will be their mistake." Callan nodded. "They don't know what it means when humans fight for something they love." She turned toward him, her silver eyes soft. "You fight with more than weapons. You fight with heart." He smiled. "Let's just hope that's enough." They didn't have warships like Earth Command, but they had something better, hybrid tech. Using knowledge from Sheree's people and Earth's raw strength, they built fast attack drones, plasma shields, and small fighter ships that could cloak for short bursts. They weren't many, but they were ready soon. The first wave arrived. A group of black machine ships entered the edge of Mars's orbit. They were scouting, scanning, and destroying anything in their path. The Unity Line. Launched, Callan led the charge from a small fighter called Echo Blade, with Sheree in the seat beside him. Her hands moved over the controls, guiding the shield system with her energy. They flew through asteroid fields, hiding behind space rocks, and ambushed the machines. For the first time, the enemy ships were hit, and some were even destroyed. But victory didn't come easy. The machine ships adapted quickly. They changed their flight patterns, learned from each shot. A Unity fighter was struck, then another. Fire lit the stars. Callan's voice echoed through the comms. "Let's fall back. Regroup at Point Theta." Ships scattered, hiding again. Inside Echo Blade, Sheree gasped. Her energy was low. The shields flickered. "I need time to recharge the core," she said through thought. Callan checked their position. They were close to a large, broken satellite field. "Hold on," he said. "We're going in." They flew into the debris, dodging broken metal and dead machines. Behind them, an enemy scout. Followed, fast and deadly. Callan gripped the controls, sweat on his forehead. Come on. Sheree placed her hand on the control panel. Her voice was calm in his mind. "Now, left. Sharp turn. Trust me." He obeyed without question. The ship spun sideways and disappeared, behind a floating chunk of an old mining station. The enemy ship followed, and crashed straight into it. A quiet explosion lit the dark. Callan and Sheree floated in silence for a moment. Then he laughed. "You really saved us?" Sheree smiled. "No, we saved each other." Back at the main base, news came in more unity. Groups had scored small victories across the outer system. The machines were surprised. They had not expected a strong human response. For the first time, they slowed down. They hesitated. Earth Command, finally understanding the truth, sent a message to Callan and Shaw, REI, to Callan Ward and the Unity Line. "Your resistance has proven effective. You now have full support. Command teams are joining you. Lead us." Callan read the message and looked at Sheree. "Well, looks like we're no longer fugitives," she nodded. "Now we are leaders, together." They stood at the edge of a new future. Not just a battle for survival, but a new beginning. A world where trust between species was real, where feelings were not a weakness, but a weapon. As stars flickered above and enemy ships hovered in the distance, Callan whispered to her, "I still remember what I said. When I saw you for the first time, I whispered you were beautiful, that I wished you belonged with me." Sheree touched his hand gently. "And I heard you. And I stayed." The battle had begun. Above the blue curve of Earth, space burned with light and fire. The machine fleet had arrived in full force. Dark ships shaped like blades, fast and endless, moving without sound or fear. But this time, humanity did not run. They stood together. The Unity Line. Once small and scattered, now flew beside Earth. Command warships, civilian pilots, miners, engineers, people from all walks of life, now worked with alien knowledge. Using Sheree's technology as their shield, in the center of it all was the Echo Blade, the ship piloted by Callan Ward. And Sheree, the girl from another world. The girl who had once crashed on Europa, alone and afraid. Now she was the key to saving Earth. "Shields ready," Sheree said softly, her thoughts clear in Callan's mind. "Core at full charge." "Good," Callan replied, gripping the controls. "Let's show them what we're made of." They flew into the battle, fast and smooth, weaving between laser blasts and flying debris. Their small ships struck with deadly accuracy, guiding others, opening safe paths, protecting the weak. Behind them, Earth's fleet followed, stronger now, smarter, united. But the machines were not simple. They adapted. They sent larger ships, ones that could block signals, ones that could melt shields. One by one, human fighters fell. The Unity Line was shrinking again. "We can't hold them," said a pilot on the radio. "They just keep coming." Callan looked at Sheree. We need something big, something final. She closed her eyes. A memory returned, an old Iralian weapon hidden deep inside the wreck of her original ship, still buried on Europa's ice. A core of pure energy, too powerful to be used in war. Last resort. We have one chance, she said. But it means you must trust me. It's even more than before. I already do, Callan said. What do we need? They flew away from the battlefield, past Jupiter's rings. Back to Europa, the enemy followed them, one massive ship, a black hunter, moving fast to stop them. In the frozen valley, the old crash site still stood. Callan and Sheree landed and ran across the ice. Together, they opened the broken remains of her ship. Deep inside, glowing with soft light, was the core. It pulsed with life. This can destroy the enemy's command ship, she said, but it must be placed by hand, inside their center. Callan looked at her. That's a one-way mission. She didn't answer, just stared at the sky where the enemy ship was approaching. Then she turned to him. Let me go. Can finish this. No, Callan said quickly. You can't do this alone. We do everything together. That was always the deal. Sheree placed her hand on his. Then we go together. One last flight. They returned to the ship and launched straight into the black sky. The enemy command ship loomed ahead, wide and full of shadows. It opened its weapons. The echo blade dove under, then over, dancing through the storm of fire. Inside the cockpit, the core glowed between them. This is it, Callan said. Just like we practiced, Sheree nodded. To save your world. And honor mine, they charged. Forward, the shields burned. Warnings flashed. They didn't stop. The echo blade broke through the outer wall of the enemy ship and entered its metal heart. Callan set the core in place. Sheree reached out and activated it. A bright light filled the sky. The machine ship froze. Then, it shattered. One by one, the other machine ships began to fall back. Their leader was gone. Their network was broken. They had lost. Earth was saved. Hours later, the echo blade floated safely outside the debris. The core had released its power. Without destroying them, thanks to Sheree's control, both Callan and Sheree were alive. Bruised, tired, but alive. They returned to Earth as heroes. Crowds cheered. Children waved flags. Reporters asked questions. But all Callan wanted was peace and to stand beside the girl who had once frozen when he whispered his first words. Some weeks later, Callan stood near a small lake in a quiet valley. Sheree stood beside him, watching the trees move in the wind. This place is beautiful, she said, her voice soft and calm, not just in his mind, but with her own voice now. She had been learning human language, word by word. I thought you might like it, he replied. Then he asked the question he had feared for days. What will you do now? Will you return to where your people came from? She looked at the sky. I have no world left, she said, but I have a place now. She turned to him, her eyes gentle. I choose to stay, not because I must, but because I already know them. They stood together as the stars began to shine above them. Not human, not alien, just two souls who found each other in the dark.